welcome to my pinescript bootcamp video series. This series is designed for absolute beginners, either in trading, coding, or both. So there's no requirement of previous knowledge. You don't need to know anything about trading or about coding or pinescript or anything like that in order to follow along in this video. So this should take you from absolute zero to at least knowing some of the basics. So we'll start with just a discussion of what pinescript is. pinescript is the language that is written for TradingView. So when you want to design a custom indicator or strategy to use in TradingView, it will be written in pinescript. And the pinescript language is in some ways similar, in other ways different than other languages that you may have heard of or experienced with. So pinescript is similar in the sense that the syntax is very similar to most other languages. It's almost in regular language. It's pretty easy to tell what different built-ins do, and functions, methods, variables, all those kind of things. They are fairly intuitive in terms of what they do. But one of the key differences of pinescript is that it runs on each historical bar. So if you see on this chart, right, each one of these bars, the code is running starting on the first bar that's loaded, and then it goes and runs the script on every single bar. It then saves a lot of the variables as a series, which means that you can refer back to the previous bar's values in those variables. So that is a powerful advantage, and it makes it pretty easy to do that. So that's a nice thing about pinescript. The limitation that goes along with that, though, is that the number of historical bars that are available to you is dependent on your subscription level. So some people will have maybe 40,000 bars, historical bars that can be loaded on their chart, while other people might have only 5,000 or so. So that's something to keep in mind when you're writing a script, is the limitation of how much data you have access to depending on your subscription. So whenever you're ready, we'll move on to our next section where we start diving into some of the actual script in Pine Editor. So now that you have kind of a grasp of what pinescript is, let's talk about the Pine Editor. This is the place where you can write your pinescript code. Of course, you can write it outside of this program, but TradingView has an editor built straight into their platform. So you can access that by just looking at the bottom left corner, and you see Pine Editor. You just click there, and it puts it kind of halfway up your screen. You can maximize this to take up the full screen by using these toggles, right? You can make it bigger, smaller, or you can just pop it up halfway. You can also adjust how much of the screen it takes up. Personally, I like to use these three dots over here and either open it in a new window or a new tab. So I'm going to do a new tab. That way we can toggle back and forth real quickly between our chart and our editor. So if you get into the editor and you don't see something like this, maybe you've made another script, or maybe you've loaded a script, or whatever, there's something that just looks different. In order to get to something what I'm seeing here, you just click on this little caret here, and you'll go to Create New, and you'll see that there are several options. So a built-in, a library, strategy, indicator. The only thing that I'm going to be covering is indicator. Strategies are similar to indicators. They just execute trades, or they simulate execution of trades. It's not perfect. It's not even super reliable. So generally, when I'm using pinescript, I'm using it to make an indicator, and if I want to do some serious strategy back testing or something like that, I usually use another platform such as NinjaTrader or Python or something like that. So we'll click on indicator, and you should end up with a screen that looks like this. So this screen, it automatically generates this content for you. It's telling the license declaration up here. It's also tagging you as the author of this script, and then most importantly, it gives you the three essential elements, the three things that any script that's running on TradingView has to have. So first of all, it has the version, which in this case is 6. This is the latest version. Then you have a declaration of what kind of script this is. In this case, we chose indicator, so it says indicator, and then it gives it kind of a placeholder title in there. And then it has a plot. So this is the visual element. So these 3 things have to be in there for the script to actually work. You have to say what version you're using, you have to say what kind of thing it is, and there has to be some kind of visual component in order for it to work. So at this point, we're going to move on, and we'll talk in a second about how to start thinking about creating our first script. So now that we understand the basics of the pinescript and the Pine editor, it's time to start thinking about what do we want to build, what kind of script, what kind of indicator do we want to create. And in order to start working on that, we need to think of, first of all, what is the kind of information that we want to get from this indicator. So we'll start with just some really basic things, and kind of the most basic thing that you might want to know is, should I buy, should I sell, or should I just wait? And this is kind of one of the most fundamental kind of aspects of what an indicator will be telling you. And in order to answer that question, you need to kind of have an idea of what kind of movement are you trying to capture. So when you are looking at a chart, you've got basically 2 options for when to buy, when to sell, and when to wait. And this depends on which motion you're trying to capture. So if you're looking at a trend, right, and you're noticing that prices are going up, right, you might want the indicator to tell you at what point is the trend established, and so you can jump on and ride that trend until the indicator tells you to get back out, right, to sell. Or in the opposite direction, right, at what point is there a trend established to the downside so I can jump in, ride it down, and then when the indicator tells me to get back out, right, so I can make money. Buy low, sell high, or sell high, buy low. So that's one way. Follow the trend, right? Notice which direction price is already going and just try to catch a ride as price continues on that direction. The other way would be mean reversion. And this is a little bit like, think of it like a boomerang or a rubber band or something like that, where essentially prices eventually can't just keep going up, or they can't keep going down. Eventually prices are going to come back up if they fall down too far, or they're going to come back down if they have gone up too far. And the idea behind this would be mean reversion, right? The longer that a trend lasts, the more likely that it's going to turn around. So with a mean reversion indicator, you're going to be looking for some kind of signal that this trend is dying, and so it's time for you to jump in, anticipating that it's going to turn around and come back down. Mean reversions try to get you in earlier than a trend following, right? If you're going for a reversal, or the opposite way, right? If prices have been falling for a while, the mean reversion indicator is going to help you to get in and try to catch that turn as it turns back into to go the opposite direction. So these are the 2 basic kinds of ways that an indicator can help you, right? It can help you follow the trend, or it can help you revert to the mean.